Is it time to reimagine your future? The right business skills may make a difference in your career. At Capella University, we offer a relevant education that's designed to focus on what you need to know in the business world. We'll teach professional skills to help you pursue your goals, like business management, strategic planning, and effective communication. And you can apply these skills right away. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to have you with us on the show today. This half hour being brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. Pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. And again, your ability to get ready for the tailgate and the whiteout is at hand. Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. We bring in now Neal Coolong, the great man himself, who was a staple of this show and has been since day one. And the reason he's still here, because every day he gets better. Neal, thanks so much.
As always, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the Steelers have been aching to get a wide receiver. There have been a lot of rumors over the last few months as they're targeting this guy, they're targeting that guy. Well, they got Mike Williams from the Jets. What's your thought on what he potentially can add to this lineup?
Well, they were targeting this guy and that guy, and they got a guy. I'm not entirely sure how much you can expect Williams to really contribute. He didn't do a whole lot in New York, and I understand there are fluctuations, and the president of everything in New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, says he doesn't like him. He's probably not going to play a whole lot. But right. Looking at Williams, watching him play, he doesn't look right. If you were familiar with him back when he was with the Chargers and he was competitive, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good long ball receiver. He's got good deep speed. He's good big body down there. He's clearly not 100% coming off of post ACL repair surgery this offseason. I don't think he's there yet. And because of that, I'm not entirely sure this move isn't more geared toward next season. And what I mean by that is you get him for half the year. He was not their first choice. I don't know, he might not have even been their fifth choice. They went after several receivers in free agency as well as in the trade market up until the deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern today. They land Williams. Presumably he's the only one they actually could get. And I think looking at Williams, my observations, because of the health issue, I don't think that he's fully there yet. I think you get 8 games with him to kind of see, 9 games with him to kind of see who he can be, and you get control over him up until the start of free agency. You have the ability to give him an extension, probably get him on the cheap because he's in there. They know about him. It's a good spot for him. They're going to give him an opportunity. He could certainly go explore free agency again if he wants to do that, but I would think if the Steelers gave him a 2-year deal, he'd probably want to do that, stay in one place and try to continue to work his way back to where he was prior to his injury. And with that, I think the Steelers have a strategic move in place, ironically, to not be in the spot where they have to trade for Mike Williams in the offseason next year. The best they could get on the market was Van Jefferson this past year. Clearly that's not really, making a whole lot of hay. Really just kind of a guy status as well. He's not doing much exceptional work. The Roman Wilson draft pick, we're barely even remembering that he was drafted at this point.
Sure.
He was hurt throughout camp. He's got a long way to go before he can really establish himself into something, and Steelers fans should know that, because this is exactly what happened to Calvin Austin. And Calvin Austin has 2 games, and everybody thinks that he's a great receiver. He hasn't really done anything up to this point. So if it's going to take that long to get a return on investment on a third-round pick, it's not all that great of a pick. So I think Williams gives them some assurance going into next season. And worst case, if he doesn't work out, this is the big thing to remember. I find this fascinating, and I'm not sure if anybody else cares, but the Steelers hate drafting in the 5th round. The last player they drafted in the 5th round, they traded back into the 5th round to acquire Isaiah Loudermilk out of Wisconsin, who's been, kind of a marginal player, but somebody they bet on. He had upside. I remember watching him play. Did a few things here and there. Nothing outstanding. The last time they used their 5th round pick in the draft was 2019, and they took Zach Gentry. They trade their 5th round pick every year. So to me, it really suggests there's some type of formula that they have that they believe in that says there's just not a great return on investment drafting in the 5th round. And you could see potentially, if they feel 5th round picks don't tend to be any better than 6th round picks, but you have to pay 5th round picks a lot more, it would make sense that you'd prefer to load up on 6th round picks, which they do quite a bit over the last. This is Colbert and Kahn. They've done that often. If you feel, though, that that's the case, then get rid of your 5th round picks like they're on fire, which is what they do every year. So I don't, for them, I don't think the value of a 5th round pick is very much. And Mike Williams doesn't have a whole lot left on his contract. The Steelers are picking all that up, apparently, the report that I saw. So I don't think it's a terrible move, but I really don't think it's one that is that should be seen as one looking to produce a pretty big return immediately. I'm not sure if Williams is there as a player. I hope I'm wrong for Mike Williams' sake, but from what I saw, I'm not sure how effective he can really be for the remainder of this season.
When they acquired Van Jefferson, I thought, you know what, not a bad player, not awesome and incredible. He's not going to throw you over the top, but I always felt with the Rams he was a fairly dependable player. How's he been with the Steelers, in your opinion?
I think you have. He's playing the position. Choosing my words carefully here. I don't want to flood your station with angry Justin Fields fans, but he's playing the position for the Steelers that requires probably the best quarterback play. That X receiver spot, moving around. There's a fluidity to it. You are running routes, but you have concepts in mind. There are places you need to go based on coverage. I don't know if Fields saw that particularly well with Jefferson, and his targets kind of speak to that. I think he only had 4 targets in the first 6 games, something like that. He had probably 3 times that in 2 games with Russell Wilson, and he produced a little bit. You saw a little bit more why they signed him. But let's be fair. I mean, this is, in some ways, it's a different offense, but in some ways, he's replacing Deontay Johnson's spot on the field. And Deontay Johnson got 8-9 targets a game for 3 years with the Steelers. That's a lot of production. I don't think anybody expected Van Jefferson to get that, but with a better passing quarterback, we're starting to see more now of what Arthur Smith envisioned that this offense was going to be. And that's a good thing for Jefferson. And I'll say this, Jefferson, coming out, I really like Jefferson. I thought he had his Steelers receiver all over him. Very balanced. He's got good footwork. He knows how to read coverage. He's a smart player. The Steelers like those kinds of receivers, and they draft them often. They didn't get Jefferson. I feel like there was a reason back then. I don't remember what it was, but your typical Steelers 3rd, 4th round draft pick type of guy. It didn't work out there. He did some things with the Rams. He wasn't a great player. I'm not surprised he's still in the league, and I think he'll be in the league next year as well, but not going to be a chart-topping type of guy. To have Arthur Smith's offense, which is tight end oriented, they tend to make the bigger plays. having that underneath receiver, it might not be as valuable a commodity overall, but this is a team that really is wide open at the receiver position. Anybody want to step up and get open, they're going to get the ball. And now you have a quarterback that's able to do that. You're seeing Jefferson add a little bit more, in my opinion. Now, is he going to catch 60 passes over the second half of the year? I wouldn't think so. But to do a thing here and there, similarly to Williams, I'm not saying that he's not going to do anything, but I don't think either of them are going to be game-to-game dominant. It's not going to, really boost the position, which fairly is one of the thinnest in the NFL. But he does bring something to the table. We'll see what he does. He's getting a lot more opportunity with Wilson. I think that's because Wilson sees him, and they're on more in a connection than perhaps Jefferson and Fields were.
Do you have a different view of Arthur Smith as a play caller for Russell Wilson as opposed to Justin Fields?
That's a good question. I don't know if I do, to be honest. I don't think Smith was running much complexity for either of them. I will say they have more opportunity. They're sustaining drives longer, and with that, you see more. Now, in that regard, you could say he's getting more out of Russell Wilson. They're doing more. They have the opportunity to do more because Wilson's having more success overall than Fields was. On a down-to-down basis, Wilson's moving the chains. He's completing more passes. They're scoring more. We've seen that. And they're doing more overall in the offense. So I think Smith has more of a chance to do more things, but I don't know how deep they've really gotten. And I think some of that is I don't think there's a chunk of it that I don't think has anything to do with the quarterback. I think it has a lot to do with the offensive line. Right. You spent a chunk of time there without Isaac Seumalo. You lost Dan Moore here recently as well. Broderick Jones has not exactly been stellar to this point, to put it mildly. You had a rookie going into the season at center, and you lost James Daniels pretty quickly into the season. You had another rookie at right guard. I think because of that, things had to be a little bit more simplified. At the same time, I think that's why you're seeing the Steelers' run offense get a little bit better per carry than what it was. You're getting better play out of younger players. Which, keep in mind, too, when Frazier went down, to have McCollum in there as well, they've had to dig deep into their depth at offensive line. So with that, I don't know how much complexity there can be. But on the surface, and to answer your question, I don't think it's any more complex for Russ. I think Russ is doing more with what's there on a per-throw basis. I don't want to act like Justin Fields didn't do anything, but to me, through 2 games of Wilson with 6 of Fields, it's pretty obvious that Wilson's a much better quarterback. Play to play, he just has a much better handle of what's going on. He sees the field better, and he gets the ball to open receivers more often. Fields did pretty well with what he was asked to do, but he didn't do a whole lot. So it's not a question of complexity. I think it's really just Wilson's the veteran quarterback with good vision, good eyesight, and he delivers an accurate pass to an open receiver. It's pretty simple when you look at it that way, but Wilson definitely has more of a command of what's going on out there.
What has impressed you about the Steeler defense to this point? What has given you pause?
The run defense is a concern, and they put a lot into the run defense this offseason. You extended Cam Hayward, in my opinion, something they should have done, but a large part of it was there was nobody even close to able to provide the level of run support that he does. That's a big component in what you're doing. You're seeing great play out of Keanu Benton, a young player that they're going to count on in years to come. He's going to be a core player for them. Defensively, you invested a lot of money in a linebacker. We've talked about this for years. I don't know how many linebackers they've gone through trying to replace Ryan Shazier, but
never
Queen is the next one in line. I'm not sure how good Queen has been. So there are issues there that should bother anybody for the amount of investment that they've put into this. You can't let teams run down your throat the way that we've seen them, especially not when maybe the best team in the AFC runs the ball at a prolific rate and they're in your division. You got 2 games against them. with 9 to play. So Baltimore is not an easy team to stop for anybody. They're going to struggle the way that we have seen them play run defense to this point. What I like about them is they have T.J. Watt. I know that's pretty simple, but I don't think there is a superlative that you can put on his game that hasn't been said at this point. But as an observer, watching the last 7 years, I think it really says something late in a close game when you just know T.J. Watt's going to do something. And that's not fan speak. You're sitting and waiting because that's usually what happens. How many defensive players have we ever seen that will make a play when the game is on the line? We say that about quarterbacks. We say that about wide receivers. Way back in the day, the AFC Championship game at Three Rivers Stadium, John Elway drops back to pass and throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that drills Shannon Sharp square in the chest to clinch the game and send the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Those are two guys you knew were going to make a play because they did. They're Hall of Fame players for a reason. T.J. Watt's on defense, reacting to what's going on, and he still makes a play. The ball pops out of the guy's hands when T.J. Watt hits him late in close games. Nobody else is like that. It's really a remarkable thing to watch. I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to see him throughout his career. And I've said not to write him off, but most guys, they start slowing down as a pass rusher. I think Watt might be better. I think he has more. The explosion probably goes down, but you watch the array of moves that he has, the way that he sets tackles up. He's such a smart player. He is so far ahead of the guys that he's going against. It's like he just needs reps. He just needs the opportunity to see how they're going to block him. And by the end of the game, he's got 4 or 5 things he's going to do that they don't see coming. And he kills them every time. Just a phenomenal player. And if it needs to be said, he's a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. Very likely could become this year the first player, I believe, in voting history for the Defensive Player of the Year award to get first place votes in 5 consecutive seasons. His brother didn't even do that. Aaron Donald didn't even do that. That speaks hugely to his ability, to his intelligence, to his growth in the game, and his health. That's probably the biggest thing. His brother, unfortunately took a lot of injuries probably at the height of his veteran prime. He probably had another Defensive Player of the Year in him, if not for injuries. And Watt has been fortunate enough to avoid a lot of that, high-end injuries to this point. And the Steelers, over the last 6 years, have probably won 15 games that they shouldn't have because of T.J. Watt. And I don't think any defensive player could say that.
You can only play who you play. How much of the 6-2 record is a result of the schedule, and what's your view of the schedule here as they make the turn into the second half?
You're right. They only can play who they play. I just watched the Colts on Monday night or on Sunday night against the Vikings, and I'm not sure they're making the right move with the quarterback that they have.
Right.
Not look like I thought that he would. He didn't look like how he played against the Steelers. I'm not sure what happened to him there, but Steelers probably should have won that game. Probably should have beat Dallas too. So you're looking at a team that, in essence, fell a little bit short, but won 6 games otherwise, and were very competitive in the 2 losses that they have. So you might have beaten teams that are not, overall the best in the NFL, but that's what you need to do. You have to beat the teams that you need to beat. They earned their record. I think it's a fair representation of where they are. Excuse me. I don't think, though, they're going to win 6 or 7 games down the stretch. Much better opponents. I didn't get a chance to really watch Cleveland a whole lot, but I would think any team would improve if you took a player that's performing like Deshaun Watson was off of it. I would think that'd be more tough, and they are clearly the worst team they're going to play. Cincinnati is a much better team than 3-5 or whatever they are right now. Like I said, Baltimore might be the best team in the game. They've got them twice. If they're not the best team in the game, then it's the Chiefs, and they got to play the Chiefs. So it's pretty brutal, I think to get ahead of ourselves and act as if they're just going to show up and win 6 games over their last 9, it obviously is silly. This is a 9-win team. Maybe they eke out 10. I might see them fall to 8. But I think they can compete. I don't think that Cincinnati is light years ahead of them. Baltimore forgot how to beat Pittsburgh. I'm not sure how that's happened, but that probably comes even this year. We'll see. But Cleveland's a team they could beat twice, I would imagine. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, but you win 3 of 4 against Cleveland and Cincinnati. Maybe you take one off Baltimore. You're in a pretty good spot. So I think we'll definitely see the toughest part of their season. We're going to see probably their worst game in these next 9, somewhere in there, starting with the Commanders. I didn't even mention them. What a story that is. What great play. Dan Quinn's gotten them. The level that they're at, Jaden Daniels is clearly the rookie of the year. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the game this season. Not going to be an easy team to beat. We will see truly who the Steelers are, but I also think that this is a team that's built for the game of attrition, like Mike Tomlin often says. So you got some tough battles in there. I think they'll compete, but I think 9 wins is realistic. They go 3-6 here down the stretch. It seems like a collapse, but their schedule is really, really cold and then hot. I mean, they didn't get anybody in the first part of the year. The bulk of their competition is down the stretch here. So we'll find out more about them. I mean, it's a fun team to watch. It's fun to see them grow, especially offensively. But you got some really good football teams coming up. I'm not overly optimistic in their chances to win, 5 of their last 9.
Always a pleasure, my good friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Neal Coolong. We'll come back more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun. Play for free. And you could even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Steve Jones Show here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. We just heard from Neal and Steve on the Steelers picking up Mike Williams and several other things about the Steelers this week. And so, actually, and while we were on break there, the Steelers made another trade. They picked up a pass rusher from Green Bay, Preston Smith, I believe his name is, and that's kind of interesting. That seemed to be an area of strength for the Steelers, but adding on to the pass rush, I'm sure that can only help a defense that makes its living on making big plays and other such things. What else is going on this week? We talked a little bit about the district high school football games. Tonight is the first night of PIAA playoffs in boys soccer, girls soccer, field hockey, and volleyball. There's a doubleheader out of Midwest. I believe actually that's where Matt will be tonight on Service Electric Cable TV. Class A boys soccer in the opener. Northumberland Christian faces Wyoming Seminary. Second game is Selinsgrove and Dallas. Lewisburg boys are in action. They are up outside of Williamsport at Balls Mills, I believe. I'm trying to look it up quick. They play Scranton Prep in the first round of states. Yes, that is correct. Shikellamy is on the road. They play at a home site. They are at Valley View tonight. I believe that game starts at 6:30.
Who's filling in for Kevin on that? Is it still Steve? Or?
Oh no, that's soccer.
That's soccer, okay.
Yeah.
That's soccer.
Steve's actually covering it for us. Steve's going up to take pictures and write for us. But
oh, good.
So Steve Williams will be there.
Good.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else locally. I know girls volleyball. Shamokin is at Berwick in the first round of states. And field hockey wise, let's see if I get this right. Mifflinburg and Newport play over at Shikellamy tonight. Selinsgrove is at Boiling Springs. And I believe Midwest is down at West Perry in the first round of states in field hockey.
Right.
Whew. Needless to say, between election night and the first round of states, my night is going to be quite busy this evening.
Yeah, well, it's that time of the year for you.
Yeah, well, at least I get some pizza out of it.
Right. Yeah. Well. By the way, it's interesting when game day came here, and I did not see any. The only two people with game day I saw and talked to were Pete Thamel and Nick Saban. Okay, but I didn't see anybody else. Well, if there was one person, or there was one entity that people asked about over and over again, it was Ben, the dog. Okay? So here is currently the story with Ben the dog. Kirk Herbstreit put this out on X. And he said, I've had so many people ask me about Ben that I wanted to let you know Ben had a second chemo injection on October 23rd, and from that day has been getting worse and worse. He has lost the use of his back legs, almost like they're paralyzed. He can barely walk. He hasn't eaten in 3 days. He says, I'm currently in Pennsylvania with a holistic doctor who is administering a 3-day vitamin C IV, hoping it will flush the toxins from his body and give him a chance. The next 24 to 48 hours will tell us if he has a chance or not. I'm so thankful for all the love that so many people have shown him over the last couple of years. One of the hardest things I've gone through in my life. Ben is my best friend and my companion. I love him with all my heart. If you're a spiritual person, I'd love for you to pray for my boy. He's currently in an ER hospital overnight, and I'm picking him up tomorrow for another round of vitamin C. Please pray for Ben and hope he pulls out of it. So it's interesting because everybody I talked to, when they asked me about game day, wanted to know if Ben was going to be there. Now, I don't know if he was there or not. I don't. But I also knew the dog had cancer, too. I mean, I did know that. I don't know if you knew that or not, but...
No, I was really surprised when I read that. I had no idea because I mean, when we were talking last week about him in the convertible a couple weeks ago, Ben was in the convertible with him.
Right. But I knew the dog had cancer. That I knew, and I knew he had gone through chemo. So I did know that. It's just, when it comes to your pet, okay, it's just so hard. I think a lot of people in the county, in the valley, they know Michelle Mertz. And she had a fabulous dog, Bullers. And Bullers went through all this. Well, it was absolutely heartbreaking for her. And she's just an example of many people that have gone through this. When you lose your dog or your cat, whatever, they become a part of your family. They become a part of you. And so for him, and Kirk's a good guy. I personally like Kirk, not a lot, and I respect him tremendously. I know, and have I ever seen Ben? No, I have not seen Ben. Okay. But I just feel like I read that and I think of all these people I know that have gone through the same thing, and all of you can relate to what he's going through right now. I think Ben's 10. And you know, all of you who have gone down this road, you can empathize with him. Like, it's one of the hardest decisions to make when you have to sit there and say, oh, man, I think it's time. You know, I mean, at one point we had 4 dogs, and in 6 months we lost all 4. Oh. Now, one of them, I'll give you a caveat, though. One of them was more than 18. Okay? So, not unexpected, but you hate to lose. Another one was, I think, 14 or 15. Hate to lose. But the other 2 were 7 and 8. And were both surprises. Like, and it just is gut-wrenching. And all of you out there, you've all gone through it. You know how gut-wrenching it is. It's gut-wrenching. And I've had 2 golden retrievers in my lifetime. Right? Just thought they were the greatest. And, you know, and so Kirk, wherever you are, we're pulling for him, and I'm pulling for you. So it's just very, very difficult to go through. Very difficult. But a lot of people are curious about Ben, and because of that, I wanted to make sure that we passed along what's going on. So, Ben.
I was going to say, when they say ER vet, I wonder if he's in Watsontown or State College.
Yeah, I don't know, because Metzler Animal Hospital here is a full-service, I think it's the biggest full-service veterinary hospital between Philly and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I had a friend who had some problems like 4 or 5 years ago with his dog, emergency problems, and I think your options were Wilkes-Barre, Watsontown, or State College.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's a longtime friend of mine. He's one of the great guys out there. But I mean, he's so passionate about it, and so they've got the animal hospital here and it is like, I saw Pennsylvania, I thought, well, it's possible he's here. I don't know. So, yeah. Oof. It's just bad scene. That's just bad. I mean, and we've all gone through it. You've lost pets, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's just my daughter's
crushing. My
daughter's 9. Our cats are both 12. My dog's 10. I think I'm probably going to be going through it soon.
Yeah, it's so, God, it's gut wrenching.
Yeah,
you know, and especially when you've got to make, quote, the decision. Like, the decision. Great.
I'm kind of soft. When we had to put our cat down 5 or 6 years ago, my wife had to do it.
No, I'm the one that. Well, I shouldn't say I'm always the one, because like one happened when I wasn't here.
Oh,
it's like, you know. So sometimes you don't know. It's like, you know, I mean, when you're on the road, sometimes things happen. So that's one of them. Hard, very, very hard. So. The Saquon Barkley play against Jacksonville is one of those mind-blowing plays that you can't... Look, I've seen him do a lot between practice and announcing his games. But, man, I never saw anybody do that before. Have you?
No, and one of my favorite viral videos this morning is somebody has a video from behind the Eagles sideline when it happens, and just watching all of, the greatest athletes in the world's reaction to him making that play is amusing, because they were all shocked. They were as shocked as everybody else.
Sure. It's the last thing you expect to see. Last thing you expect to see. So I was speaking to this group this morning, and the Peacock part came up. They said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think it's going to at least double the radio ratings." It got a good laugh. So, yeah.
That's a note on their flyer in here in the studio for the rest of the week for the football game when they advertise it on Eagle 107. It's only on Peacock, so the only other place you can listen to it is right here, right on Eagle 107.
Yeah, I don't even know who's doing the game. That's a good question. No.
Isn't it Noah? Isn't Noah Eagle the Peacock guy at 8 o'clock?
It probably is, because they'll probably have Dan Hicks and who's doing the Notre Dame games now with Dan Hicks. It's not Jason Garrett, is it?
Yeah, it is Jason Garrett. They got rid of Jock. They didn't get rid of Jason, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, what, Jack Collinsworth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it must be Noah and Todd. That's crazy. It really is. I mean, hey, look, I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge. So there's nothing I can do about it either. But when I saw, I thought that I never even considered. Okay? I never even considered that I was going to go to Peacock. That's dumb on my part.
Well, I didn't look. What did they decide at 3:30 then?
I don't know.
Is it just the factor that Penn State lost? I mean, if they're number 2 or number 3, is it on CBS then?
I don't think so. Actually, you know what? It's Paul Burmeister, Colt McCoy, and Zora Stevenson.
Oh, I know who Colt McCoy is, but
yeah, it's Paul Burmeister. I've never met him, but I know who he is. Colt McCoy, we know who he is. Zora Stevenson, I know nothing about her. Yeah, that's who's doing the game. Okay. I don't know why it was selected the way it was selected. I don't know. And I would have to see.
I don't want to say kill the enthusiasm. Do you think that lessens the enthusiasm Saturday night in the fan base that it's only on Peacock?
No. That has nothing to do with it. No, that's more event.
Yeah.
It's an event. It's not, just a game. It's an event. So no. The fact I wish it were. I know it's only a half hour, but I wish it were at 7:30. Like if it's gonna be on Peacock, do it at 7. Don't make people have to stay past midnight. That's just me.
Having flashbacks to the 2006 Ohio State game and sitting in the press parking lot till 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, exactly. Let me see here. College football. Let me. Ding, 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 ding. What is the CBS game? Is it Indiana? It's Indiana, Michigan.
Eh.
Okay, that I understand. Indiana, Michigan, I understand. Indiana's curiosity against the defending national champs.
Does Brad just stay in Ann Arbor the whole week then?
No, the game's at Bloomington.
Oh, it's at Bloomington. Okay.
Yeah, the game's at Bloomington. When they play Ohio State, that will be on the road. So, yeah.
They have a chance to go 11-1 and not beat anybody in the top 25.
Well, no, they don't. And see, that's the issue they have, right? Because right now, by metrics, Indiana has the 82nd ranked schedule in the country. Now, you have to win. Okay? You have to win, and they are winning. I mean, you can only play who's in front of you, but their schedule, see, that's one of the issues. Like, they're undefeated, but their schedule's ranked 82.
I'm really interested to see where they put them tonight.
I am going to guess they will be around 8 or 9. Okay? That's just me throwing a dart. But I'm going to guess 8 or 9, and Penn State's going to be either 6 or 7.
I also wonder what they do with SMU now.
SMU still might be outside of the top 12.
Yeah.
SMU, I would guess, would be probably 13 or 14. How about that?
Because it looks like they don't really have much of a schedule either until the end of the year.
No, they do not, and that's a big issue. I expect the top 4 to be Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami.
But remember, well, you know this, but only one of those Big Ten teams gets into the top 4 at the end of the season.
Exactly. And again, what they do not do, they are not predicting the playoff tonight. They are doing a snapshot at the moment. So they're not predicting who a conference champion will be. They're not doing that. That is something that they won't do that part until the very last poll. They just do 1 through 25 tonight at the moment. So that way, I'm just trying to give everybody an idea of what to expect tonight. This is not them predicting what the playoff would look like today. This is them just doing a 1 through 25 as of today. Okay? Yeah. All right. Wrapping it up. Don't forget Jerry Dulac tomorrow here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.